I guess I've always known I was a bit different from everyone else. I mean, in kindergarten for Halloween, I wanted to be a princess instead of like a firefighter or, an astronaut. But yeah, so I guess in that way I've always been teased a little bit for not being one of the boys. But I think the time where the bullying first started, well, the teasing really was in 4th grade when I went up on stage in 4th grade and I performed a High School Musical song and I made a complete fool of myself. And then when I came off, a bunch of guys came up to me and they're like, "Sid, that was so gay." And I was like, yeah. And then that was in my old school. And then I moved to SAS in 8th grade. And I was hoping that SAS would be a new start for me because I didn't really have the best experience in my previous school. So I thought SAS would be an opportunity for me to be myself, really. But I guess I wasn't really expected how mean people are, really. So when I first came to school, I was quite shy and I didn't have much confidence. But at the same time, if I did try to say something funny or say something or be bombastic, I would get made fun of. So I guess I had those limitations. And I remember in the first few weeks of school, I guess I was, it's clear. I mean, I am very feminine, and that is very clear. And walking down the halls, I remember someone shouting, "Sid's a homo," in front of everyone, and yeah, that was not nice. And yeah, in class, people would jeer at me and make fun of me and write really mean things about me as well. And it just wasn't a great experience, really. I mean, I just felt really insecure about who I was, and I tried to cover that up a lot as well. But soon I began to gather some friends, and my family was really supportive at home, and I started to gain some confidence with their support. And later on in the year, I became more and more confident, and I stopped caring about what others thought about me. And that was when the bullies started to back off, really. Because once I found confidence in myself, and once I accepted myself for who I was, I mean, the bullies really can't feed on that, really. So, and I guess I never fully gave up on anything, really, because I knew I had hope. I knew things were going to get better, and things will get better, and they did. And I think it's fair to say that now I'm in a really good place where I have people that love and accept me, and that I realized that feeling, that this state that I'm in right now could not have happened if I had not found the strength within myself to push through all the negativity.
When I was in the 6th grade, maybe 5th grade, I was besieged with warts all over my hands. I had warts everywhere. And I was ostracized by everybody in my grade, including the teacher. I'll never forget Mr. Bill Hammondtree. Mr. Bill Hammondtree said, "Mark Gugesberg, would you walk up and down every aisle and show all your fellow classmates your warts?" And this was during a health class. I was absolutely, at the time I didn't know what the word meant, I was absolutely mortified. I walked around sheepishly showing everybody my warts, and you can well imagine that I never held hands with a girl until I probably got to high school. So it was a very formative experience for me because of the bullying that was done not only by my teacher at the time, Bill Hammondtree, but the students and their subsequent actions in the playground and at recess, etc. So I understand firsthand how important bullying is to students and to teachers.
I was about 8 or 9 when before I moved to SAS in my old school. And then at the beginning, everyone was really nice. They were saying, "Hi, how are you? Where did you come from?" Because it was a school where everyone knew each other from the first grade. There weren't many people who moved. And so when I moved there, it was probably only me who was new in the new grade. So at first I was really happy that, all these people were saying these nice things to me. But, when lunch came around, everyone grabbed their partners and then I was left alone. And then the teacher, she always had meetings, so she couldn't really mind me even though she wanted to. She was really busy. So I was left partnerless, and then I just walked to lunch by myself. And then so after I got my food, again, everyone was saying, "Hi, how are you?" But at the same time, they weren't actually inviting me to sit with them during lunch. So I would walk slowly, that time where you feel like it's taking forever, and then you're just waiting for someone to ask you to sit with them at lunch. And then so I would glance at, one of my classmates and see if they would ask me to sit with them at lunch. And then I would walk really slowly, but no one ever did. And then so I sat by myself for the first day, and then it turned to be for the first week, and then the first month, and then it became the first year. It wasn't as if people said mean things to me. They were actually really nice. But bullying happened to me because it was the things that they didn't do. They said these nice things, but at the same time, they didn't act as if they wanted me there. I was always treated as an outcast, always that person who would get picked if there was no one left. And action spoke louder than words for me. And I think all of us are new in SAS. Everyone has been new. And I think we've all had this feeling where no one really wanted us and where we felt uncertain. And I felt that way for the whole year in that school. No one abused me or said anything mean, but no one at the same time showed any concern for me. So moving to that school, held a negative connotation. There were times when I shut myself in my room after school because it was just horrible. And I didn't want to go to school because I had no friends. And then so I would cry. And it was hard for me because, in my old school I had all these friends. And then moving here, it was hard for me to adjust when no one was offering a handout to me. And then so when I moved to SAS, there was the peer support buddy system, and then I made friends for the first time in that year, and it was new to me because in my old school there would be no one who would sit next to me, and in SAS there were people who were saying hi, who were saying nice things, but at the same time they were also having their actions backed up. They invited me to lunch. They invited me to hang out at their house. And for the first time, I was enjoying school since that year. And I guess this experience changed me because I now know how it feels like to be the one who's left alone, to be the one who never has that friend, who never has a person to talk to. And in a way that makes me more compassionate and more sensitive to people who are often mistreated in society, in our schools. We have these people who also sit alone at lunch, and I feel for them, and I finally understand, what it feels like to be them. And that's my story.
Well, my story is a very long story because it stayed with me my whole life, but I'll make it very short because we're filming. This was in 6th grade, in my last 6 months of elementary school, where 3 boys relentlessly bullied me every single day of my life. I was suffering from kind of 3 aspects that they found intriguing to zero in on. I was very overweight, and I had very, very bad skin problems. And my religion at the time was one that they could pinpoint, I was Jewish, and anti-Semitism was quite popular at the time. So I have to say, I got up every morning, and for some reason I got to school. That didn't seem to be an option for me. I think I actually liked the school, but I hated my social life. So from the moment I would get to school until the time I left, these boys would go after me. My nicknames, and almost it seemed to be my name in front of all the other kids, was either Fatso, Pimple Face, Zit Face, and You're a Dirty Jew. They would strategically find ways to set me up, thinking I'd think, well, maybe they now don't want to do this anymore. They'd be my friend. And all they were doing was to set me up to then ridicule me or tease me or try to make me look foolish in front of other kids. They even managed one day to have me fight another kid they were bullying in the playground, and everybody circled to watch us fight. And I look back now, and they had manipulated this whole situation to make us look very, very foolish and very silly. The bullying that I received in 6th grade, I have to admit, which is now well over 50 years ago, a half a century ago, hasn't left me to this day. It impacts your self-esteem, it impacts the way that you think about yourself and how you relate to others. I did have a saving grace. I did have something that kind of protected me during the time, and that was I had another life. I would leave school every day, and I would go to the YMCA, which was a recreational club where I was a swimmer, and I did trampoline, and I also was in their junior leader program. And there, people treated me with respect, and they got to know me for who I was. And I was there 6 days a week. If it was open on Sunday, I would have been there as well. So I had adults in my life at the Y that recognized me and tried to help me. But ironically, at school, there wasn't a teacher, there was not another adult that figured out that I was suffering and that maybe I needed help. I look back to this day, and I wish I had had counseling to get me through the during and after time. But back then, a lot of people said when you're being bullied, it's just something that you have to deal with and it makes you stronger. Did not make me stronger at all. So I would say to anyone who is feeling the way I felt, seek out a friend, seek out an adult, seek out a counselor, seek out someone you make a connection with to tell your story and get that empathy, not sympathy, but the empathy you need to help you through this time in your life. That's something I didn't do, and it's something I wish I had done back then. So if you're being bullied, it's not right. It's not a rite of passage. It's not to make you stronger. It's just plain wrong.